Hello listeners and viewers. Welcome to Kaduna State Ministry of Education Radio and TV e-learning program designed for our SS3 and other students staying at home due to the coronavirus pandemic. The present administration, under the able leadership of His Excellency, Malam Nasir Ahmed El-Rufai, is positioned as always to ensure that under his leadership, our students are not left behind in all areas of human endeavors, especially education. Kaduna State is the center of learning. Therefore, we want to ensure that our students excel in their forthcoming examinations and beyond. Students and other learners at home are given this opportunity in order to continue learning, as education is a continuous process. Different subjects will be taught in this program to assist students to perform excellently in the forthcoming Senior School Certificate examination being conducted by NECO and WAEC as soon as schools reopen. Teachers making presentations will always provide their names and phone numbers during each presentation, and they can be contacted for questions, further explanations, and/or clarifications. The following numbers and contacts can also be reached for expression of any concern or observation: 090-865-00545 or 080-383-62072. Our website is www.education.kdsg.gov.ng. Our email education@kdsg.gov.ng or education.kdsg@gmail.com. Our YouTube channel, Ministry of Education, Kaduna State. Our Twitter handle @Kaduna_MOE. Or our Facebook page, Ministry of Education, Kaduna State. Stay safe, stay at home, and learn well. Thank you, happy listening, and happy viewing.
A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. All praise and thanks are for Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful, and peace and blessings of Allah be upon Muhammad, his family, his companions, and those that follow his footprint till the last day. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. My students and listeners at home, you are welcome to another segment of Islamic Studies class. And today, inshallah, we are going to continue from where we stopped in our last lesson. But before then, I would like to recap to what we have done in our last class. In our last class, the topic was At-Tahara. We gave the definition of At-Tahara. In Islam, At-Tahara simply means purification or cleanliness. It is to remove physical and spiritual dirt from the place, body, and dresses of a worshipper. And At-Tahara is a means of attaining cleanliness. In Islam, certain religious duties require that the worshipper should be in a state of purity, such as as-salah, that is prayer, tawaf, that is going around the Kaaba during Hajj or during Umrah, and also tilawatul Quran. You are expected to be in a state of purity. Then Islam also enjoins faithful Muslims to keep the rules of personal hygiene. We have mentioned some of those personal hygienes, which includes taking regular baths. Then another one is keeping your nails neat and tidy. It's very important. It's part of personal hygiene enjoined by Islam. Then washing private part after relieving yourself. Then washing your hands before and after eating. Washing your teeth also, among others. We have mentioned all these in our last lesson. Then after that, we look at some Quranic injunctions on purification or cleanliness. We made mention of a verse from Surah Al-Baqarah, Surah 2, verse 222, which says, and I quote, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, The verse says, Inna Allah yuhibbu tawabina wa yuhibbul mutadahirin, meaning surely Allah loves those who turn much to Him, that is in repentance, and also loves those who purify themselves. We also referred to Surah Al-Mudassir, Surah Ayah 4 and 5 of that surah. And the surah says, Ayah number 4, the ayah says, وَثِيَابُكَ فَطَهِّرْ, meaning, and your clothing purify. Then the second one, which is ayah number 5 from Surah Al-Mudassir, says, وَالرُّجْزَ فَهَجُ, meaning, and uncleanliness avoid. We've referred to this in our last class. We also referred to some of the hadith of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, where we made mention where the Prophet said, "At-tuhur shatrul iman." We've referred to that. So purity is half of iman. That is the meaning of at-tuhur shatrul iman. Then another hadith also which says, "Inna Allah ta'ala tayyibun, la yaqbalu illa tayyiban." Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is pure, that is the meaning, and He does not accept but what is pure. So we've referred to this under Quranic injunctions on purification and cleanliness. Then we move down to the main types of purification, that is spiritual or inner purification, purification of the mind. And we said this can be achieved through prayers, or encouraging the 5 pillars of Islam, and also through avoiding committing sin, among others. Then we've touched the other aspect, which is the main types of purification. The second one, which is physical or outer purification. We have mentioned that, and we said it can be achieved through ablution, that is Al-Wudu, and ghusl also, and Tayammum. So all this can be achieved through physical purification. Then we take one after the other of those types of physical purification, where we discuss about ritual bath. And under ritual bath, we've discussed on a person finding himself in a state of impurity because of janaba is expected to take ritual bath. Then we mentioned menstruation also is a reason. After when the blood stops flowing, then a woman is expected to take ritual bath. Then blood of childbirth also, al-nifas, we've mentioned that. Then after that, we've mentioned dukhulul Islam. Somebody who embraces Islam is expected to take ritual bath. Then when a man dies, is expected to be washed before putting on the cloth and before his burial. So all these are some of those ritual baths that we have mentioned, and there are other recommended ones also which we have mentioned. The Jumma'at bath also, we've mentioned that. Then the Eidaini bath also, Eid al-Adhan and Eid al-Fitr. Before you go to prayers on that and those important festivals, you are expected to take ritual bath. So today, inshallah, we are going to continue from where we stop. And we stop at Al-Wudu. We are going to look at Al-Wudu, that is water ablution. Al-Wudu must be performed by anyone who intends to observe the prescribed prayer, that is Salat in Islam. Anyone who intends to perform Salat is expected to perform Wudu or ablution. It is the washing or wiping of certain parts of human body before Salat. It is washing and wiping of certain parts of human body before Salat. That is Al-Wudu, which is the second type of physical purification. Then Tayammum, that is another also type of physical purification, which is called sand or emergency purification. Sand or emergency purification. Tayammum is a substitute for ablution. It is a substitute for water ablution and ritual bath also in a state of emergency. It is a substitute for ablution in a state of emergency, especially when there is lack of water. When there is lack of water, that is the emergency that we are talking about. When there is lack of water, or one is prevented from touching water or using water for ablution as a result of illness. There are some illnesses, maybe wounds or other illnesses like that, where you are advised not to put water or allow water to touch that particular part, and it is part of those places that you wash in ablution or you wipe. So it is a reason for you to perform sand ablution or emergency ablution or tayammum. It is enjoined by the Quran as a symbol of purification of the soul and readiness for washing. It is an indication of readiness for spiritual purification. Tayammum, ablution, they are all readiness for spiritual purification. Then rules guarding tayammum. There are rules that we are expected to abide by in tayammum. One of those rules is it cannot be used for two compulsory prayers. Tayammum cannot be used for two compulsory prayers. For example, you perform tayammum now for Maghrib prayer, then you use the same tayammum to perform Isha prayer. It is not allowed. It is done for a single prayer. It is a temporary purification. It is a temporary purification. The moment you finish the salat, it becomes invalid. It is temporary. The moment you finish the salat, then that ablution becomes invalid. A person must remove a ring, if any. If you have ring, you are expected to remove it when performing tayammum. It is only allowed when performing prayer and at the prayer ground. You perform the tayammum there and then you perform the prayers. Then you are to perform it facing Qibla. You are to perform it facing Qibla. You are not to perform tayammum or dry ablution or sand ablution. Then you move to another place in order to perform salat. You are expected to find a clean place where you will perform the ablution, and at the same time you perform the prayer at that particular place. Then some comparison that will enable us to summarize or to understand tayammum better between tayammum and ablution. One of those comparisons is that ablution is performed with water while tayammum with sand. Ablution is performed with water, tayammum is performed with sand. Then ablution, you are expected to use water to wash some certain parts of your body, while tayammum you are to wipe or wiping. Then it removes only minor impurity. Ablution removes only minor impurity, while tayammum removes major and minor impurity. Tayammum removes major and minor impurity. Then ablution is a permanent purification. You can perform ablution, pray Zuhur prayer, at the same time pray Asr prayer, or pray Maghrib prayer and pray Isha prayer, while tayammum is temporary purification. The moment you observe that salat that you perform the tayammum for, it becomes invalid. Objectives of purification. Objectives of purification. Number one, morally, Tahara indicates respect for Allah by maintaining cleanliness while one is before Him in worship. By the time you intend to perform prayer, you purify yourself. It is a sign of respect to Allah. If it is a governor or president of the country invited you to come to his office, you will ensure that you appear neat, you clean yourself, and all what will bring out the goodness in you, you will do that. That is human being like you. So what more of your creator who created you? So he is the one that deserves that respect more than any other person. Then socially, cleanliness promotes good health. Socially, cleanliness promotes good health. It leads to acceptance by others in the society, thereby leading to other social interaction. When you appear clean, you are neat and tidy, people will like to associate with you. Unlike if you are not clean, people will be running away from you. They will not like to associate with you. Maybe you are smelling or your mouth is smelling, people will be running away from you. So socially, it leads to acceptance by others. Then cleanliness reminds us of our duty to ourselves, our family, and community in general, thereby leading to peace, love, and unity. Good health makes life pleasant. If you are clean, you will feel comfortable, you will feel happy within yourself. It leads to acceptance by others in the society, leading to other social interaction. We've also said cleanliness reminds us of our duty to ourselves, our family, and community in general, thereby leading to peace, love, and unity. Then the next area which is very important for us to look at is kinds of water for purification. All what we have mentioned, especially ablution and ritual baths, requires water. So in this particular case, what type of water? Is it any water that you will fetch and use for these purifications? So it is important for us to take note of that. Kinds of water for purification. Islamic law recognizes water into three. Islamic law recognizes water into three. The first one is pure water. The second one is clean water. And the third one is filthy water. And what is that pure water? Pure water refers to the water which is perfectly clean in itself. It is perfectly clean in itself and can clean another object. It is clean in itself and it has the quality of cleaning another object. It is a water without color, taste, or smell caused by foreign body. It is water that is perfectly clean, free of smell, taste, or color, which is caused by a foreign body. Somebody enters into it and change the color or the smell or the taste. However, if the habitat of a water causes it to have color, taste, or smell, it's still considered a pure water, suitable for religious purposes. There are some places whereby you find out that if you open a borehole, the water that will come out from the tap will look brownish in color. So that is the nature of the soil of that particular place. So that water is still pure water. That change of color does not make it to be unclean water. You can use it for religious purposes. Or maybe it is the taste of the water that is salty. There are some places in our communities whereby if you dig a well, you find out that the water is not sweet water, it is salty water. That is the natural nature of that water. So that type of water is also pure water and suitable for religious purposes. The same thing with smell. There are some places where when you put your nose, you hear some smell from the water. And the smell is not a foreign body that enters and spoil it and makes it to smell like that. It is naturally like that. So it is also suitable for religious purposes. Then the purest form of water is unpolluted rain water. The purest form of water is unpolluted rain water. It is there in the Quran where the Quran says, Surah Al-Furqan, and we have sent water from the sky, a pure water from the sky for you. So other forms of pure water include water from the springs, seas, oceans, among other sources of water. We have other sources that we have not mentioned here. So including those sources. Then what is clean water? We have seen what is pure water. What is clean water? Is it the same with pure water? So we shall see. Clean water is that water which cannot cleanse something else, even though it is normally clean in itself. Pure water is water that cannot cleanse something else, even though it is clean in itself. For example, if a glass of water is diluted with a clean substance or a foreign body like salt or sugar, the taste has changed. The taste of that water has changed, but it's still clean for consumption. But for other purposes, it cannot be clean for other purposes. Therefore, the water ceases to be pure but clean. It is not pure but clean and cannot be used for religious purposes. If there is salt or water, salt or sugar in water, you cannot use it for religious purposes. Despite the fact that it is clean, you can use it for domestic and other purposes. But for religious purposes, you cannot use it because the taste has changed, and the cause of that change is a foreign body. It is polluted or contaminated or something of that nature. Then if someone has had a bath directly from a bucket of pure water, leaving some remnant of the water in the bucket, the water is regarded as clean. It is clean, but not pure for religious purposes. The water is clean, but you cannot use it for religious purposes. Or water extracted from fruits and vegetables is also clean. We have fruit juice. For example, coconut juice, mango juice, orange juice, they are all water and clean water. But you cannot use that water for religious purposes. For example, can you use orange juice to perform ablution or take ritual bath? That is the issue, or that is the message here. You cannot use juice to perform ablution or ritual bath, but it is still clean for your own consumption. You can take it as water or juice. Then the third one is filthy water. And this filthy water is that water which is originally pure but contaminated by filth. It is originally pure water, but it is contaminated or polluted by a foreign body. For example, urine enters into water and it spoils the purity of that water. It cannot be used for religious purposes and at the same time for your domestic use, except in some maybe other domestic use like washing of toilet and places like that. But for religious purpose, you cannot use it. If the urine is not much. Lessons from Tahara. We have now come down to the lessons of Tahara or purification. One of the lessons of this particular topic at Tahara is certain acts of worship, that is something like prayer, are acceptable only when one is in a state of purity. So this is one of the lessons that we have learned from this important lesson. Certain acts of worship, like prayer, are only accepted when one is in a state of purity. You cannot perform prayer while you are impure. That prayer will not be accepted. Then purification of the body should constantly remind us of the need to purify ourselves. The purification of our body should remind us to purify our minds. That is the spiritual purification, which is the most important. So the physical purification should remind us about the spiritual purification. Cleanliness is enjoined by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and so Muslims must maintain good hygiene and cleanliness. We have mentioned examples of personal hygiene. So we should try as much as possible. It is a command, it is not a wish. If I wish, I do, or if I do not want, I leave it. It is a command. Then it is advisable to as much as possible to maintain purification by constantly observing at-tahara. When you relieve yourself, you wash your private part. When you, before you eat, you wash your hands, and so on and so forth. So finally, we have come to the end of this important lesson. But before we round off, I have an assignment for you to practice at home. The first question 1A, what is at-tahara? What is at-tahara? Then question 1B, explain any two objectives of at-tahara in Islam. Explain any two objectives of at-tahara in Islam. Question 2, state and explain any two means of purification in Islam. State and explain any two means of purification in Islam. Number 3, explain any two conditions under which a Muslim must perform major purification. I will repeat the assignment again. Question 1A, what is at-tahara? Question 1B, explain any two objectives of at-tahara in Islam. Then question 2, state and explain any two means of purification in Islam. Question 3, explain any two conditions under which a Muslim must perform major purification. So remember, major purification. So these are the questions for you to do at home. And for your assignments, you can send the assignment through this number 070-3481-9895. I'll repeat the number again, 070-3481-9895. I remain Salamatu Ibrahim Sambo. Stay home, stay safe, and keep learning. Until next, inshallah, when we meet. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh.